In terms of the actual swing itself, for me, most of the issues come to the takeaway. Meaning, yes, you can have the strongest grip ever to help you keep the club face closed, but when you rotate your forearms this much towards your trail side in your backswing, so towards the right, I can take the strongest club face ever, and I'll exaggerate this for the purpose of this visual, right? Club face is very shut. And if I rotate my forearms enough, my club face will actually still look open. So then in that situation, I might see the open club face and then start to strengthen my grip even further to keep the club face square, when really you can see how shut it looks in my setup here. If I rotate my forearms enough, I'll open it up. So keeping the grip stronger is fine. I have no issues with that whatsoever for now, but we need to get rid of the aggressive forearm rotation towards your right that you have, where the club got so far inside and rolled open that it actually went out of frame in your video. I couldn't even see the club face, right? What I want us to start doing is I want us to keep these forearms more closed at setup. And really all I want us to do right now, because most of your issues start with this and then it kind of gets really long and loose and gets very steep coming down, everything that you see after the takeaway is a reaction to the takeaway. Because when you roll the club in, you have to stand it up really late, which can create a lot of momentum and it gets really long. And then because the forearms are so rotated open here, they're gonna shut down on the way down, and that brings in a lot of steepness. With the early release, it's like a whole combination. So what I want us to do, once we get into our new setup position where we're squared up and a little taller, all I want us to get really is just the takeaway in a better position. So I used to tell people, think of your takeaway as a steering wheel. If I'm holding a steering wheel, right, my hands are on 10 and 2, I don't want to rotate the steering wheel to the right of my takeaway. I want to rotate the steering wheel to my left. Now, it's very counterintuitive to do this because my body is rotating to my right, and yet I'm trying to work my forearms against it. That's why most people roll the club in. If I rotate everything to my right, it's going to include the forearms. I'm going to whip the club inside, right? So if you're somebody who has a very inside takeaway with a lot of forearm rotation, I don't blame you, just because the natural movement of the body here in my backswing is to rotate things to my trail side, to my right. And so if I do that with my arms as well as my body, the club's going to work inside and the face is going to open. So it is counterintuitive to keep the forearms closed because my forearms have to work in the opposing direction that my body is rotating. So my body rotates to my right, but my forearms are actually rotating to my left, and that's what's going to keep the club more in front of my hands and prevent the club face from rolling open. You can see I set up if my face is square and then I do this, all of a sudden I can keep the club face pretty structured. If I just whip the club in and rotate my arms in the same direction as my body, not only does the club get very flattened inside, but the face angle opens up. So this is something that we're going to try to cure, and the steering wheel is a very simple feel to do. So hands on 10 and 2, instead of rotating them to my right towards my trail side, I want to rotate them to my left towards my lead side. So it's going to feel like my right arm for me is rotating on top of my left arm in the takeaway. If I set up to the ball, good balanced setup position, and then I do that, right arm rotates on top of my left, or the steering wheel, I'm rotating it to its left. Well, when I do that for me as a righty here, you can see my face stays closed and the club stays outside my hands, which is really good. So that's kind of what we're working for somebody like you here who whips the club way inside and then creates all sorts of bad reactional habits from the takeaway, okay? So you're gonna set up, and very simple drill you can do is have an alignment stick through a basket. Now, you're gonna see here, this is a super long alignment stick because it's actually a yardstick, it's not really an alignment stick. And you're gonna put it far enough back where it's just a visual cue. We're not actually trying to hit the ball with this alignment stick, okay? So the intention is not to try to, actually use it as an obstruction. It's just a visual reference. It's far enough back where I wouldn't actually use it. And you're gonna set up to where the stick is in the ground more or less between your feet and where the ball is. So if I had a ball on the floor, let's just use this for the purpose of this. I would have this somewhere around here. The alignment stick is between my club and the ball. And then all I'm trying to do is a lot of takeaways once my setup is in a balanced position where I'm rotating my body open, but I'm rotating my arms to the left. And I'm trying to keep the club in front of the stick. You can see I'm not actually going to hit it. It's just a visual cue. But I'm trying to keep the club in front of the stick, and I'm trying to keep the club face closed. And that's really all I'm trying to do right now is just really master this. If I exaggerate this feeling, I can keep the club way outside and the club face shut. I don't mind exaggerating in practice because it's going to allow you to make some changes a little bit better. So we're just going to go like this. And then from here, you're just going to go halfway back and just chip the ball. We're not trying to do a full backswing. It's going to feel very restrictive when your forearms are staying closed to keep going up. It feels a little awkward at the beginning. So we're just trying to get our takeaway like this and then just maybe pump halfway back with some momentum and then just chip the ball.